You're watching Luntha TV and it's time for our 7:30 news bulletin. My name is Tandy Wimzamara. Let's have a look at our top stories. Vatican confirms continued improvement in Pope Francis' clinical condition. $8.5 trillion Malawi Kwacha budget to run Malawi in 2025-2026 fiscal year. High Court condemns Bulaya Lule's death convicts to custodial sentences. And in this week's exclusive report, Robert Edward shares legal and governance experts' views on the 2025 State of the Nation Address SONA aftermath. We do have the details to these stories and more. Just stay with us. The Holy See Press Office said on Friday morning that Pope Francis had a restful 15th night in Rome's Gemelli Hospital, where he is being treated for bilateral pneumonia. A Holy See press statement said after waking up, the Holy Father ate breakfast and read a few newspapers. He continues his treatment and breathing physiotherapy. We have more details in this Vatican News report read by Charity Chilanga.
The Holy See Press Office's statement on Friday morning read that after waking up, the Holy Father ate breakfast and read newspapers. It also said he continues his treatment and breathing physiotherapy. The Vatican also announced on Friday that Cardinal Angelo de Donatis, Major Penitentiary of Apostolic Penitentiary, will preside at the traditional celebration of the Ash Wednesday liturgy on the Aventine, which will take place on March 5th. On Friday morning, Pope Francis sent a message to participants and the cause for those responsible for episcopal liturgical celebrations at the St. Anselm Pontifical Institute of Liturgy, in which he offers words of encouragement and advice in their mission to promote and safeguard liturgical life. Addressing the abbot primate of the institute and its dean, as well as professors and students, the Pope acknowledged their commitment to deepening liturgical knowledge and highlighted the importance of studying the liturgy both theologically and in terms of its celebratory practice, which he described as essential to the spiritual life of the people of God.
The highly anticipated 2025-2026 national budget was officially presented to the August House by Finance Minister Simplex Chichola-Banda on Friday, the 28th of February. The minister revealed that the government is expected to allocate a total of 8.5 trillion Malawi Kwacha for the fiscal year. The budget outlines the government's strategic plans to restore the country's economic stability, focusing on addressing key challenges such as low foreign exchange reserves, food insecurity, and other critical issues affecting various sectors. Rashida Matandika was in Parliament and she reports.
In his opening statement, Minister Chichola-Banda acknowledged the economic growth challenges faced by the country, which have been exacerbated by the global economic trends. He highlighted several factors that have contributed to these difficulties, including the COVID-19 pandemic, the ongoing war in Ukraine, and the recurring cyclones that disrupt power supply in Malawi each year. The finance minister further explained that the global economic instability had also impacted the Ministry of Trade, resulting in fluctuations in the value of the kwacha and a rise in the prices of essential goods. To stabilize the economy, Chitiola Banda outlined several key measures the government is implementing, including the introduction of policies to curb prices and protect consumers, a ban on the importation of non-essential goods, certification of local producers, efforts to combat smuggling in the mining sector, and investments in the agricultural value chain to create more employment opportunities.
To be one of the greatest, forex earner in this country. So yes, as a ministry, anything that revamps cotton value chain to become viable again is something that attracts our attention. And that's the reason why in the mega farm concept, as we are financing it, we are not restricting to say only these restricted value chains. It is open-ended. As far as the value chain you think is profitable and you can be able to grow that one, do it. We are going to finance the mega farm, and in extension, we are going to finance your value chain. MTA's funding vis-a-vis the access to the actual finance.
The overall budget is pitched at 8.5 trillion kwacha. Of this amount, 1.53 trillion kwacha will be allocated for wages, salary increments, and the recruitment of new civil servants. Additionally, 60 billion kwacha is earmarked for purchasing means to address food insecurity, while 53 billion kwacha will be dedicated to revitalize ADMAT markets. A total of 162.9 billion kwacha has been allocated to the Malawi Electoral Commission to facilitate the upcoming 16th September 2025 general elections. Rashida Matandika, Luntha TV, Lilongwe.
In response to the budget, the Malawi Economic Justice Network Mission Executive Director Bertha Lipiba-Phiri has expressed her approval, noting that this year's national budget tackles all the crucial areas that Mission and other civil society groups had earlier highlighted. Phiri specifically pointed out that 80% of the budget is dedicated towards social programs which are crucial for addressing urgent challenges such as poverty, health, education, and social welfare within the country. Bridget Monoga has more details on this report.
Phiri said the organization has welcomed the government's commitment to these programs, noting that they are crucial for improving the well-being of the most vulnerable groups in society. Furthermore, she stated that it plans to engage with the relevant parliamentary committees to ensure that the budget is implemented effectively and that the allocated resources are used appropriately to achieve the intended outcomes.
They are indicating that they would like to contain inflation, but also foreign exchange measures, the forex anti-crime measures, so strict measures needed to ensure that there is fiscal management of the resources. That has been highlighted. Secondly, it's also a reaction to...
Meijin has also stressed the importance of ongoing monitoring and accountability.
We apologize due to technical difficulties. We cannot be able to finish giving you that report. However, proceeding with the news, High Court has today delivered a maximum of 20 years custodial sentence to 6 convicts who had a hand in the death of albino killing suspect Bulea Lule while in police custody in 2019. High Court Judge Justice Dr. Chifundo Kachali condemned the convicts on Friday, with first convict Boshipole being slapped with 20 years imprisonment, while second convict Ikram Malata has been condemned to 18 years and the remaining 4 will serve 15 years sentence in prison with hard labor. Director of Criminal Litigation in the Directorate of Public Prosecutions, Zigondian Malunda, welcomes the ruling, so too with one of the lawyers for the convicts, Luano Mabutwa, who expressed satisfaction with the custodial sentence, believing it is the result of their mitigation efforts as the crime attracts a maximum sentence of death penalty. Felicity Zombe caught up with Mabutwa.
Well, today it was a sentence. One thing that you should know is that the offense of murder is a very serious offense and it attracts death sentence. But today what has happened is that the court has opted for custodial sentence. So we believe that it was highly compelled by the mitigating factors. That's why it has handed down a custodial sentence.
In brief, what are the sentences?
NGO Gender Coordination Network, NGO GCN, has strongly condemned violent attacks on two female members of parliament from the Democratic Progressive Party, DPP, at parliament premises on 26th of February 2025. NGO GCN chairperson Maggie Gatwela Banda, describes the incident, which involved the deliberate vandalism of the MP's vehicles, including smashed windows and deflated tires, as a blatant violation of women's rights and an attack on their political participation. We have more details on this report read by Charity Shilanga.
Gatwela Banda stressed that violence against women in politics undermines the integrity of democratic institutions and perpetuates gender inequality. She has since called on law enforcement agencies to conduct prompt, impartial and thorough investigations to ensure their perpetrators are held accountable without delay. NGO GCN has urged the Parliament to take decisive leadership in facilitating processes that bring the culprits to justice. With Malawi set to hold general elections in September 2025, NGO GCN has urged the political parties to educate their supporters on the values of non-violence, tolerance and mutual respect. The group has also called on civil society organizations and communities to raise awareness about the dangers of violence, particularly against women in elections. NGO GCN reaffirmed its commitment to advocating for gender equality and preventing electoral violence, urging all stakeholders to act swiftly in upholding democracy and human rights.
If you just tuned into Luntha TV, know that you're watching news coming to you live from Bishop Navy Media Center, and today with me, Tandi Wimzumara. Before we proceed, let's have another look at the headlines. Vatican confirms continued improvement in Pope Francis' clinical condition. $8.5 trillion Malawi Kwacha budget to run Malawi in 2025-2026 fiscal year. High Court condemns Bulea Lule's death convicts to custodial sentences. And in this week's exclusive report, Robert Edward shares legal and governance experts' views on the 2025 State of the Nation Address SONA aftermath. Proceeding with the news, State President Dr. Lazarus Chakwera has emphasized the importance of respecting and following the country's laws. Chakwera notes that many prisoners are incarcerated due to a lack of understanding or disregard for the state law. He made these remarks earlier today during the Malawi Prison Services Recruit Pass-Out Parade ceremony at Mapanga Training School in Luntha. Emmanuel Shiwocha has filed this report.
The ceremony marked a significant milestone as 985 recruits completed their training after an intensive session from June 2024 to February 2025. Among the recruits, 410 are women who have been advised to be professional and committed to their oath of office. President Chakwera stressed that prisons are not solely for punishment, but rather a place for transformation and growth. He emphasized that prisoners should be equipped to contribute positively to the country's development upon their release.
Kupatula maripota amene amandipeza nthawi ndi nthawi kuti tikhululukire wena. Ichi nchizindikiro choonetsa kuti ife Amalawi nkhani yang'aniridwe kakaidi sitikapo mtima kwenikweni aya koma ntchito yomwe amagwira anthu awa Malawi Prison Services ni ntchito yofunika kwambiri ndipo tikhozanso kunena kuti ni ntchito imodzi yomwe imaonetsera poyera ngati tili serious mchitukuko cha dziko lathu kukhala ndi chidwi ndi mmene timayang'anira akaidi athu mndende zathu kumaonetsera poyera ngati tili serious ndi kuti katsatiridwe ka malamulo a mdziko tukalemekeza ndende ndi malo omwe timasungira anthu amene aphwanya malamulo komanso komwe timaphunzitsira anthu omwe alakwira malamulo khalidwe losunga malamulo a dziko ngati ife tilibe chidwi ni mmene ntchito imeneyi ikuyendera.
Security, Ezekiel Chingoma, who noted that the prison service has implemented strategies to enhance service delivery in alignment with Malawi's 2063 vision. The recruitment of new prison officers is expected to bolster the country's collection service and promote a safer and more secure environment. The new recruits have been urged to uphold to highest standards of professionalism and integrity.
Financial access for rural markets, smallholders and enterprise farms project is changing the livelihoods of ultra-poor households in Balaga district. Charity Shimpamba Piri, who is district coordinating officer for farms program responsible for Ncheu, Balaga, Mangosh and Mashinga, noted this on Wednesday during an exit report farms project phase 2 in Balaga. She said the capacity trainings that the project provided to the communities has changed the mindset of many who are now benefiting from the seed capital. Jean Galande Bernard is reading a report filed by Andrew Nandolo.
Chimpamba said the farms project phase 2 that they were implementing through community agribusiness, the main goal was to ensure economic empowerment and resilience among the ultra-poor rural households and community financial-based organizations. She said communities were equipped in gender, nutrition, and food diversification at household level.
So through the implementation process of these projects, we've seen that there was improved access to financial services, especially in hard-to-reach areas where our banks had to recruit some bank agents there so that the communities might have better access to financial services. They also facilitated opening of bank accounts in rural areas for groups and the individuals. So when rural areas have now better access to financial services because there are agents working there. We've also seen that through capacity building and provision of seed capital, which has been provided to ultra-poor households that are under social cash transfer program, the households that have now having that the households that we are working with, they have also improved in hygiene in different levels.
During the meeting, some farms partners like NBS, CAP, and World Relief also gave their reports. Farms Project Phase 3 is expected to roll out this March 2025 to March 2028.
Jean Galande Bernard reading a report filed by Andrew Nandolo. There are no legal consequences that President Dr. Lazarus Chakwera can suffer for unknowingly reporting through State of the Nation address information not in line with reality on the ground, according to legal experts. However, a watchful third eye of the Section 12 of the Constitution may still has its effects on the trust part. In this week's exclusive story, Robert Edward discusses the consequences topic with private practicing lawyers and governance experts.
With exactly 2 weeks from the 14th February, when President Dr. Lazarus Chakwera presented his would-be last State of the Nation address on his maiden term, the sting of political consequences that follow revelations of unrealistic of some of the information of development in his sona still remains. This is despite a totally go-mind dismissal of any legal consequences that can follow the Malawi leader for reporting through sona some information which was untrue or queried in his own words. Renowned legal practitioner and one of the petitioner legal crew members in 2019 high-profile constitutional case Kumbo Soko says it would be not fair to suggest that the president, Dr. Lazarus Chakwera, should or can meet legal consequences directly for saying what he believed to be true from technocrats. But Kumbo Soko was quick to put a condition that if he did so unknowingly, meaning his mind would have an alternative explanation if the president said this knowingly.
Then the second instance would be where you said something which is untrue, but on account of the negligence of other people. So the president, in all fairness, can not be expected to know every little detail about what the government which he heads is doing. So he relies on technocrats to feed him with information, and if somewhere in that chain, either due to incompetence or indeed malice, there is information which is inaccurate, which the president communicates to the nation inadvertently, and I don't really think that you can accuse him of lying. So it would depend on the intention. But in any event, even where he was deliberately set out to lie, I don't think that the law lays out a clear path in terms of the consequences.
With the February 26 appearance to Parliament to answer the questions, where he seized an opportunity to react to the Parliament and public reaction of his sona, another highly respected legal expert, Justin Zonzi, also relied on a condition that the president may have reported such information in the sona which was deemed untrue unknowingly. Zonzi, however, was able to provide a clue on how this unknowingly or knowingly condition would be established.
Now, if in doing so, the president knowingly provides false information, then the president is in breach of that constitutional duty, because the president is lying to the people of Malawi, who are the ones on whose behalf the president governs. If, on the other hand, the president gives inaccurate information, believing the same to be accurate because it was provided to the president by officials, then as soon as it becomes clear that that information is inaccurate, the president must immediately take action on his ministers, who are his advisors. But obviously, that information also could have come from the officials under the ministers, in which case, the ministers, if they knew that that information was false, they ought to be sacked. But if they also did not know, it means it is the senior officers who misled the ministers. So the senior officers also ought to be sacked.
Before and after Wednesday's clarification, the building of this report spoke to other two different lawyers, male and female, both of whom denied us to quote them. But the lawyer who opined after the Wednesday's clarification was straightforward, that there is no legal consequence that a president can suffer for presenting a report containing some information which can turn out to be untrue. But the other lawyer who spoke to us before Wednesday, while agreeing with her fellow learned colleagues, as they call themselves, was quick to explore the spirit of Section 12 of the Constitution as the tool that can be used to test the political consequences, or perhaps that may be injured with the revelations that some of the information was not in reality with what was happening on the ground. Now, this was also advanced by renowned governance expert Dr. George Chaima, a political scientist, Association of Malawi member. According to Chaima, Section 12 of the Constitution is the accountability mechanism fit for the drama that the president found himself into, as people would judge him from the trust yardstick in the election year.
That's why the president right now
is heavily embarrassed because he adopted the lie that was transferred to him by his ministers and also by his authorizing officers and controlling officers, including ministers and also advisors. So this is the problem with the president, and is now exposed, and he's become so vulnerable to his own goodwill.
Of course, Blantyre City Southwest Sameh Suleiman's sentiments were expected.
Madam Second Deputy Speaker, it makes me laugh to see everyone that side trying to rewrite or correct the SONA. Madam Speaker, when a leader spends over 3 hours trying to explain what he has done to his people, that means that that leader has done nothing at all. Madam Second Deputy Speaker, I remember the words of a great man who had nothing much to say, but what he said, let the works of my hands prove for me, speak for me. That was late Bingu Amtarika, may he so rest in peace. Madam Second Deputy Speaker, Section 108 of the Constitution of Malawi mandates public officers, including the President, to uphold the truth and act in good faith. Section 122 of the Penal Code, Madam Second Deputy Speaker, criminalizes the act of providing false information.
Order, honorable members, order.
Oh.
No, he's not reading. He's referring to his notes. No.
Madam Second Deputy Speaker.
That's just a reference. That's just a reference to his notes. He's referring to his notes, not wearing. Please. Order.
Madam Second Deputy Speaker, they are taking my time. I hope you will consider that. Section 122 of the Constitution of the Republic of Malawi, Madam Second Deputy Speaker, criminalizes the act of providing false information while under oath. Madam Second Deputy Speaker, this carries legal implications, particularly when it misleads the nation. Section 19 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, Madam Second Deputy Speaker, UDHR.
But with the above discussion, his attempt automatically falls off, and so too with the thinking that Section 96 of the Penal Code and first 11 words of the office bearer's recitation on Section 81 of the Constitution would be of consequence to haunt the President for saying what was not in line with the ground reality. After all is said and done, however, the fact still remains that some of the information in the SONA was, according to the President, from a queried data, as he admits on Wednesday, and consequently taking an action in line with Justin Johnson's line of thinking by firing a leader of those who injected this queried data in the SONA process.
So as soon as I learned that some had observed that 2% of that data I reported on each district had a query, I investigated the matter and found that the variants all emanated from a team of 5 technocrats who had inadvertently transferred 2% of the verified data from the ministries into the wrong categories of my unified data matrix. Those 5 technocrats have since been summoned and reprimanded, and the head of the team has since been fired from this position as team leader.
The President, who preaches, "I am not an angel," even went further to ask Parliament to remove from the Hansard the part that contained the queried data, which in his calculation is 2% from every district, before the House adoption, a development deemed commendable by governance experts.
In compliance with the rules of this House,
I hereby withdraw the fraction of data in my State of the Nation address that have been queried, and I humbly request your good office to have the vast majority and remainder of that address, which cannot be queried or disputed, remain in the record of the Hansard and be adopted by this House as moved by the honorable member of Cheo Central.
Media fact checks remain uncontested that some of the information in the SONA was not as it was on the ground, mainly in project construction in the districts. And at the same time, it remains undisputed that the president cannot suffer any legal consequences directly for reporting through SONA some information which was not as it was on the ground, if he did so unknowingly. But where the circumstances above have touched the trust on Section 12 of the Constitution, Malawians will be better judges.
And that special report by Robert Edward also brings us to the end of what we had for you in this edition of our news bulletin. But before we leave, here's a reminder of our headlines. Vatican confirms continued improvement in Pope Francis' clinical condition. $8.5 trillion Malawi Kwacha budget to run Malawi in 2025-2026 fiscal year. High Court condemns Buleya Lule's death convicts to custodial sentences. And in this week's exclusive report, Robert Edward shares legal and governance experts' views on the 2025 State of the Nation Address SONA aftermath. My name is Tandi Wemzamara. Thank you for keeping me company, and do continue following the rest of our programs right here on Luntha TV. Also, do know that you can catch us on our social media pages. On Facebook, we are at Luntha Television, and on YouTube, we are at Luntha TV Official. Goodbye for now, and do have a lovely, lovely weekend.